The first thing you will note is the version of the 3.1 ROM you're going to need is the one that was designed to run on the Amiga 500, the Amiga 2000, or the Amiga 600. The other revision is for the Amiga 1200, Amiga 4000, and the CD32. This version of the ROM requires an 020 or above, and currently the MCC 216 only supports the plain 68000 processor. So you do have to get the correct ROM revision to make this work. Now that I've obtained the correct ROM, this version is for the Amiga 500, Amiga 600, or Amiga 2000. So the next thing I need to do is I'll insert my micro SD card into my memory card reader, and I will go to my computer, find the removable disk. Here is the root of my SD card, and I'm going to go into System, ROM, Amiga, and you'll see the three files that are in this folder. Here's the Kickstart ROM with the default file name that has to be named kicked13.rom. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the new 3.1 ROM into this folder. Then I'm going to rename kick13.rom and I'm going to add a dash. Then I'm going to rename this Kickstart 3.1 ROM to kick13. So it'll default to this ROM instead of the other ROM that I had in here. I wanted to rename this because I want to keep both ROMs in here so I can switch back and forth between Kickstart 1.3 and 3.1. There's no selection on the menu to be able to select from two different ROMs currently, so you have to put the SD card into your memory card reader and rename it until they add that option onto the menu. The easiest way to tell the difference between these two ROMs is the fact that the Kickstart 3.1 ROM is 512K and the Kickstart 1.3 is 256K. The ROM I'm using is also unencrypted. It isn't an Amiga Forever ROM, it is a regular unencrypted ROM. I do have the rom.key in here, which should allow me to read the encrypted ROMs, but I didn't test it. So anyway, so now we'll pop it into the SD card into the MCC and boot it up and take a look. Okay, now that I've placed my SD card back into my MCC, I turned it on and selected the Amiga core. Here is the default menu for the Amiga files. I'm going to go ahead and just hit start 1.3 and this will boot the Amiga 3.1 ROM by default. You'll notice it takes a moment longer when it loads that ROM because it's slightly larger, but it does work. So here it kicked the ROM into place and you can see the ROM revision is version 3.1 40.063. So this is the correct version. So I'm going to go ahead and reset. That's going to bring the menu back up. I'm going to go ahead and select the Amiga OS 3.0 floppy disk images. So this system will boot up into Workbench so I can show you even more. So I'm going to hit page up. I'm going to hit start. And this will of course take a moment because it's going to immediately load off of the virtual floppy disk. Okay, and then it pops up the Workbench. As you can see, I have half a meg of graphic memory and 1 meg of fast memory. So I'll go ahead and open up Workbench. You can see it has the new 3.1 style. I'll go ahead and hit About, and you'll see that this is the 3.1 ROM. I am using this version 3.0 floppies, that's why it's version 39.29. I just happen to have those on there. I didn't bother to load the 3.1 floppy disk, but I'll probably do that later. So that ends my little demo. I just wanted to show that this does work and you can get it booted into the system. To switch back to Kickstart 1.3, you do have to take the SD card out, put it back into the computer, and rename the Kickstart files. And like I said, you can tell the difference between the two by their file sizes. The Kickstart 1.3 is 256K, and the 3.1 ROM is 512K.